Welcome back, everybody, to the Player's Edge. For those of you watching, you can see that we have the normal crew, Terry Hollywood Hay, Swiss Army Sean. We got finally finished first and third, but normally he's the long shot player, Tom. I don't know what's going on with that. And the fresh face you see in the middle there is Jessica Paquette. Jessica, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh, we're all doing fantastic. Hopefully we'll be doing better on Saturday night after our pick four bets, right? That's why we're here. Yeah, indeed. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet Jessica yet, we've put up a question and answer. She's had an interesting life on and off the horse racing track, mostly off the horse racing track. But one of the things that I noticed in watching videos and in the course of doing the question and answering is that her nickname was Crazy Weird Horse Girl. And if you notice, Jessica, I'm the only one here without a nickname.
Yeah, I was realizing that maybe I should have come in with one here, but everyone went to school with that weird horse girl, like the one that when you were little kids was busy pretending to be a horse. Like all the weird horse, everyone knows the weird horse girl. It was absolutely me. Did
you come up with that yourself, or did somebody name you Weird Horse Girl?
I'm pretty sure my peers probably referred to me as the weird horse girl at one point or another, but I have affectionately taken it as my own.
Well, that was my plan because I'm the one that doesn't have a nickname, so I'm going to maybe affectionately take it as mine.
Okay,
crazy weird horse guy.
You can have it with my blessing.
Terry, how are you out in the West Coast tonight?
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'm doing really great. And I did have a question for Jessica. I was wondering, Jessica, who your favorite horse is in racing?
My all-time favorite is a horse named Blazing Sword, who ran in the 90s and early 2000s down in Calder and Gulfstream in that area. He was owned by a local person, Gil Campbell. So horse crazy teenage me found that local connection in my local newspaper, and I was hooked. He was on the Derby Trail in 1997 and got hurt and missed it. But I followed his career throughout his long career. He wound up being one of those nice, hard-knocking, like low-level stakes horses.
Yes.
Earned $1 million the old-fashioned way. And I think he's the reason, to this day, I'm still a real sucker for like a hard-knocking old war horse.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. That's very nice. Yeah, I think I remember that one. I've been going to the races for 60-some years, so.
Kathleen O'Connell trained him. Gil Campbell owned him. He was a cool, plain bay rapper, nothing flashy, but just showed up every time.
Yep. And then we have Sean with us tonight. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a good week. We got Tyler Connor wearing horse racing radar pants. Gerard Malasson is about to get 5,000 career victories maybe tonight in the next half hour. He's starting to support us, so a lot of fun things happening. Jess, my question is, I've always been that guy. I always wanted to be a football announcer. I always wanted to be an announcer, even horse racing. How was that experience, and how difficult is that?
Okay, it's hard. It's really hard. It was so much fun. I kind of went into it. I'd only called one race before, and that was at Suffolk. It was such a whirlwind thing. I didn't have time to be nervous. I just had to do it, which was amazing. But getting to do this, I got to really prepare for it. And kind of the more you prepare, the more anxious you get. And I just didn't want, I really just didn't want Twitter to be mean to me. Honestly, I wanted to be serviceably good enough that people either were just like, oh, someone is announcing, or, thought I did okay. It was so much fun. But
was really Twitter nice to you?
Yeah, Twitter was nice to me.
If I have it right, too, the first race, you had all kinds of delays, too, on Friday, right?
Oh, it was, and the rain, so I'm from the East Coast. We don't really have the kind of weather that Texas has. It was practically hurricane conditions. I couldn't see out of the window of the booth. There was lightning. It was like the apocalypse, but the show goes on until we canceled after the first, but we got that first one in.
And then we have something to another Tom. He's always got a different nickname, but we affectionately know him as 22-1 Tom because he's our resident bomb player. But we really should call him International Tom or something like that, or Inspector Clouseau or something, because he always seems to have his pulse on the international horses.
I certainly try to. My success rate, though, sometimes varies, but I can't complain at Belmont in the Just a Game. I had it dead on.
Yeah, you nailed it for sure.
And I that was a nice little help out my payday for the with those two horses. Unfortunately, the blowout got scratched, so it would have been interesting between Summer Reasoning and Blowout to see who would have fought for the lead. Romance, actually.
Sean and I were doing it live because we do a live show, Jessica, in between races. We have contests. And then on Saturday, we have live contests. And sometimes Sean joins me, but we were doing that race and neither one of us picked any of the international horses. And as soon as it was over, Sean and I were like, we should have listened to Tom and picked those international horses.
Yeah, that trainer that was doing so well too.
Yeah, Charlie Appleby hit the English Derby. So, I mean, he was having a very good day for Godolphin.
Yeah, he was having a good day for everybody but me, unfortunately, and Sean. But yeah, those people who played him in the contest were kind of pretty happy about that. All right, so now,
quick question for Jessica: what track have you never been to that you really would like to go to?
Arlington, actually, and I know it's kind of last call at this point, so I'm really hoping I get to Arlington this year.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful track. It's a shame that they're closing it, but I think they're going to move it to maybe Fairmont Park or something and call it FanDuel Arlington Park or something. Anyway,
I'm rooting for these institutions to stay as long as they can. Horse racing is better with more variety in it.
That's absolutely for sure. So speaking of horse racing, we're going to do the late pick 4 at Santa Anita, which starts in race number 6, which is a 5.5 furlong optional claiming, 20,000 non-winners of 1, 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Jessica, you are the guest. So that much like golf, that means you have honors. You get to tell us who you like first, and then we all get to be mean on you on Twitter.
Great. Excellent. Go ahead and pick on me. I can take it. A lifetime on the racetrack will thicken your skin real quick. I mean, the favorite looks pretty legitimate here. I think Alice Marble, legitimate favorite after a game maiden win. I also like to kind of capitalize on a horse when their form is good. Strike while the iron's hot. Sometimes they can string together a win or 2 or 3 in a row. However, I do like a little bit of a long shot. Number 5, Your Royal Coil, only for the jockey. I think Trevor McCarthy is going to really take off on the West Coast. I think, it'll be pretty quickly before you're not really getting 15-1 on his mounts. And this one might be an interesting swing.
Trevor's a good friend of the show too. So we're always pulling for Trevor as well. He's been on the show a lot, and Sean's trying to twist his arm to get him to wear the horse racing radar pants too.
Katie,
he's the one that brought it up.
Katie was a jockey. She was galloping horses at Suffolk while her sister was riding. The Davis family, they're a wonderful family.
Yeah, we went through that with them too when they first got married at Aqueduct and were put together as entries, and we actually had them on the show right afterwards. We might have been one of the first people to actually get comments from both of them, which is pretty cool. And then we'll go with Terry. Terry, who do you like in race number 6?
Well, I like number 4, another Eddie. He's going for a hat trip and has finished in the money 100% of the time in her career, winning 50% of those races, of course. She took a short break, but now has been working well for this start. And then I like number 3, Alice Marble. Won her last race at Santa Anita at today's distance and received the highest last race speed rating of all among the starters. She's trained by Philip DiNardo, and Flavian Pratt is in the irons. Then I like number 1, Little Grayson. Likes the distance, in the money 71% of the time, winning 29% of those starts in this distance. And then like Santa Anita, she's been entered 18 times and won 50% of those starts. Her best speed rating is the fastest among today's starters. And then I like Win Offman as a long shot. Had trouble in her last race compromising her chances, and she moves back to the dirt where she seems to do better. I think the way the race will run is Little Grayson, number 8, will go out with number 8, Play by Owner, and number 9, Starship Defiant. They'll go to the front. Number 3, Alice Marble, and number 4, Eddie. Another Eddie will stay close to the pace and try to catch the leaders in the stretch. Number 7, Win Offman, will come and close at the end to get into the exotics, but I think number 4, another Eddie, will close to win at the wire.
And Tom, you're not going to disappoint me, I hope, tonight. You got some long shots for me here in this race?
Well, I don't consider Doug O'Neill's off the claim that big of a long shot, but Little Grayson to me looks like a nice play. He's 26% off first-time starters off the claim. and 60% in the money. She likes the front. She's got to break well from that one post. If she does, I think she's really going to be right there. I also like the fact that the trainer's gotten 3 works into her, and the last at that 47-3 handily certainly impresses me in that she's ready for this. She's back in for a tag, so anybody wants to buy her, Terry.
Wait, not just Terry. Both of you guys last week said that you could, $50,000. Terry, you and I can go buy them.
I'm hoping for 3 to 1 on her, maybe a little higher, but it's hard to say. It is Doug O'Neill. I took Starship Defiant, has 2 races. She ran a real stinker last time out on the turf, but her maiden win on the dirt was nice. She put in a nice work of 36-1. I like to see that. It means that she that didn't really shake her up. I see her tucking in behind the leaders, and she should be right on the board someplace. And like Terry, I like Win Often. She's been facing better company on the Open. Now she drops into a Calbred race. I think she fits here. It's just a question of where she's going to sit in position-wise. That's my only concern with her. But I do see her hitting the board.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what about you with your late picks? I didn't have a chance to review them yet, so I have no idea where you're going to come at us for.
So I see a lot of speed in this race. I see as many as 5 horses going for the lead, and some of the horses that are going for the lead need the lead, or they're not going to compete here. This is the deepest race I went with 4 horses here. Another Eddie was number 4 was my top pick. Debuted on turf and got a decent third after a stumble. And then that start was without Lasix. He's added Lasix since then, and then went to turf, got a second, and then back-to-back wins. Now comes back to the dirt with the Lasix and hopefully a clean start. And he should be in good position off that pace of all those leaders battling. And then I did use number 1, Little Grayson. You guys touched on the trainer, Peter Miller. First off the claim, hits at 26%. Has the speed, but's been able to sit off recently, and that'll be good here. The 1 speed horse I did use was the 2, Civil Suit. We use this speed horse only 1 race on dirt, and it was impressive, winning by 13 lengths at Santa Anita. The only issue is he's been off for about a year, but he's been working out really well. And then I did use the 3, Alice Marble, another one, hard to go against, and will be perfect spot here behind the dueling leaders.
The 2 has been off for more than a year, and when it did win, it was maiden claim in 20 grand. So I'm not a huge fan of playing off the maiden win and then off the year-long break, but the workouts were good. If he had run again right after that race, winning by 13, that big win margin is usually a pretty good sign. For me, I'm going to go with the 3. It's the only horse in the field that last time out ran a speed number that was better than the par number for this level of racing. I do agree with you, Sean, and Tom on the Doug O'Neill claim, 26% angle first time after a claim. And then I agree with the 4 horse as well. Another Eddie, if he can take his form from from grass to dirt, the horse has a really good shot. Those late pace speed numbers those late pace numbers combined with the early speed numbers could be more than enough to get the job done. So for me, I'm going to go 3-4-1. I do think maybe if there's a scratch, an alternative, a long shot, maybe for me would be the 9. So we'll, as always, take our picks, put them in an Excel little sheet and put them out there so you can look at them online at the normal story and not have to mark them down and keep track, so to speak. So now we're going to move off to race number 7. It's an optional claiming $40,000, 6 furlongs on the turf. As always, you still have the honors, Jessica.
Thank you. Well, I went to the towards the outside with number 7, Ellerslie Lace. Maybe this horse needed one off the layoff last time out. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here, possibly a little bit of a generous price. Umberto Rispoli will be aboard. Clearly, they thought pretty highly of this horse over in France. She was keeping Group 1 company. Wasn't winning, but also wasn't embarrassing herself either. I also liked number 6, California Kook, grade 1 placed on the shelf since December. Looks like this is a conservative spot for a comeback effort. The work tab has been encouraging, and Flavian Pratt's been riding, very live mounts for Peter Miller. I'll round out my try with number 3, New Pi Lambda. Good effort last time out. I really just like the pedigree on this horse for the grass as a turf sprinter. City Zip on top out of a Spatestown mare kind of just checks every box for a turf sprinter for me.
Yeah, you're pretty big on, well, I'm going to say pretty big on, you said pedigree will only take you so far in the question and answering, but you told a story on another podcast of how you would sit down and read the book of, I forget what it was called, but I think
the Stallion Register. I would go page by page. That is still one of my favorite activities, but to develop an eye for horses, you kind of just need to look at them and keep looking at them. And as a teenager, clearly this is telling everyone that I had really, I had a ton of friends and a very busy social life as a teenager, but I just sit with my Stallion Register and go horse by horse. And that's how I figured out kind of what I like in a horse, what I think makes a good racehorse. And big fan. Stallion Registers was the best thing.
I've never read one, so it's probably something I probably
it's like do. It's like this thick. It's great.
Well, that's too thick for me. Any book that's more than that thick,
it's mostly pictures, mostly pictures.
Well, then I could probably handle it, because that's really, you know me already very well. Hey, so Tom, what you got here?
I put Equid Love on top. She's faced better last time out, and she stumbled and lost all chances. She had a nice maiden win. She was even though she was away slow from the gate. Her works indicate to me on the dirt that she's going to be right there, and just got to get out of the gate. That she looks like she's going to be a nice horse if she can just put it together. I did go with Eller's Lace. I think she needed a start in this country. There a lot of times they do. My negatives to her was one big one, which is that she did not win any races at a major track in France. The track she did win at is not major, and but she is raced in Group 1 and Group 2 company. Did okay, but she really looks like a sprinter on paper, and 7 furlongs I think is her absolute outside number. So it'll be interesting to see how she performs here. I went with New Heat just because she's moving from the open company from Calbreds. She's not done anything really wrong on the turf. She's 4 out of 6 and has really been impressive. And she's going to, of course, need to really step it up here. One negative on her is she does not like that crossover. She has acted up more than once, going from the turf to the dirt, back to the turf. And you see that more with the foreign horses coming here. But this one has obviously got some peculiarities with that. But ironically, she does win, even when that happens. So
maybe you should have read the Stallion Registry.
Yeah. Well, I used to read. Jessica was talking about her one. I read the paper magazine doesn't exist anymore, called the Thoroughbred Record. And I would order that book every year because they'd send you the book. And yes, I spent many hours going through that. And that day and age, it really was helpful because you didn't have a lot of other sources like you do now with the internet, et cetera.
Yeah, that was exactly. It was so pre-internet. The Google didn't exist back then.
No, how did we live back then? I don't even know. Sean, how about you? What are you cooking up for us in the lucky race number 7?
So this was the one I went shortest. I used 2 horses, and partly because of that is I just see the 3 New Pi Lambda being the only pace at all in this race. So if you get a very comfortable lead, and Juan Hernandez is really good on speed horses. I am concerned she is only 1 for 12, but she's never gotten as easy of a lead as she's going to get on Saturday.
Does it ever really work that way, though? Like you think a horse is going to get an easy lead and they really do?
Or if they do and you're right, then they end up faltering somehow anyway.
Yeah, 20-4 when they don't need to do it.
Yeah. So then it came down to the 4 or 5. Like I said, I only wanted to go too deep here. So I chose the 5. This horse, better races came when she was close to the pace. I think, she'll be sitting 2nd or 3rd and should get a nice trip here. And Kent DeSormo's starting to ride really well as well.
Okay. And how about you, Terry?
Yeah, I like the number 4 New Heat. Likes the distance, and she won her last race, earning the highest race speed rating of all the entries. And then during her career, she's finished in the money 66% of the time, winning 33% of those entries. So number 2, I like the 6, California Kook, has been racing in grade 1, 2, and 3 races or events, and drops down in class today. Her best turf speed is the fastest among these starters. And I like the number 1, Equal Love, as Tom did. Stumbled at the start and was also bumped in her last race, which affected the race. She has a high percentage trainer in Phil D'Amato and performs well on the turf. And then I like number 5, Anonymously, won at today's distance at Santa Anita. She'll be closing at the end. I think the way the race will go is number 3, New P Llama, will rest to the lead, just as Sean said, and try to go all the way. But I think number 1, Equal Love, will be in mid-pack and close and try to catch the leader at the end. I think number 4, New Heat, number 5, Anonymously, and number 6, California Kook, will close from deep and try to get the win. I expect the number 4, New Heat, will outpace number 6, California Kook, to win the race, and that number 5, Anonymously, will get in the exotics.
All right. For me, I'm looking at, I think the 3 is a vulnerable favorite. I look at that same number you did, Sean, 1 win, 12 races. I do think that she's probably going to be at the front of the pack, like you said, but just one of those horses that doesn't know where the finish line is, right? Somehow, some way, lets another horse get by. So I'm going to go with 2 horses. I'm going to go with number 4, New Heat, and number 6, California Kook. That's a nice name. Sean always makes fun of me for being a name better, but I do like the number 6, California Kook. It ranked out pretty high for me in one of my sheets, number 1, the other one, number 2. The only thing that worries about me about the number 3 is she does have the fastest average time at the distance in the last 3 times at this distance for the whole field. But that lack of knowing where the finish line, she doesn't want to. She must be shy about getting her photo taken or something, because she does just not like to go to the winner's circle. So for me, I'm going to go with the 4 and 6. If there's a scratch, then the 3 and the 1, which brings us now to the lone stakes race on the card. It's a really quiet weekend for stakes races. There's just 2 of them, which is, I guess, with the Belmont being over and a Triple Crown, everybody needs to catch their breath. But we have Thor's Echo. Maybe it's coincidental, but it's coming on the heels of the Loki debut on Disney. Anybody watch that? My daughter maybe watch it with her, but it's kind of interesting. No, I'm the only one that watched it. Okay. I'm the only one that's up to date on current culture. That's all righty, Sean. You get no. Always sorry. Jessica, you're up. Fire away.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm actually using this race as a single. I think number 3, Fashionably Fast. Pretty short price, but this is my kind of hard knocking horse. 8 wins, 22 starts, just shows up and runs his race every single time. And those are the horses to me that make racing so great. I also like that this horse has really held his own against nice graded stakes competition. He's not just a state bred, but dropping back in against some fellow, Cal-bred, Cal-sired horses. He looks like a real force to be reckoned with here. So I think he'll be pretty tough.
Yeah, well, you're doing a wonderful job of keeping everybody's bankroll tight. So that's a good thing.
Well, I'm not very budget conscious in a lot of areas of my life, but I try to be a little budget mindful when I'm constructing a ticket.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but in most other things in your life, you get something in return, even if it wasn't what you expected. In horse racing, you miss one on that pick 4. Usually it's either, for me, the first one or the last one. Then you end up getting nothing back in return. So that's zero-sum game.
Ways to lose.
Yeah, they will. Unfortunately, we all do. That's part of the game. I even in baseball. I mean, my baseball picks lately have been driving me nuts. My teams are ahead, then they go to extra innings, and I lose them all. You think you get the extra innings, it would be 50-50, but just on one of those streaks. All right, Mr. Sean, how are you going to keep race 3 and your streak alive in the pick 4 to make it to the final leg?
I'm going to go 3 deep here. It looks like the number 5 Brickyard Ride will break for the lead here. I could see the 1 Cult Fiction, number 2 Whooping J, and number 3 Fashionably Fast sitting close behind, and then the other 2 will trail. Top pick, I went number 2 Whooping J. 8-1 was a nice price. Going from turf to dirt, last 5 races on turf, finishing exact in all 5, and 1 are lost by a length. This is another one of those horses that always seems to either finish first or second, win by a little or lose by a little. Lifetime finishing exact in 9 of 11. And this will be Mario Gutierrez's 9th straight time on this horse. I like that too, when a jockey's familiar with a horse and keeps aboard. I did use the 5. Like I said, he's done break for the lead. Juan Hernandez again with the lead. 5 for 8 at Santa Anita. Also 4 for 7 at the distance. Did lose to the 1 Cult Fiction last time out, and also behind number 6 Loudmouth. So that's a little bit of a concern. And then I did use number 1 Cult Fiction. Won 2 races in a row, both at Santa Anita. She does lose jockey Tiago Piera to the number 3. But getting Umberto Rispoli shouldn't be far off, maybe even better. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, nice record at Santa Anita too. 2 wins, 3 races, and the 3rd. And then at the distance, 2 wins, 2/3. So that's a nice.
And the rail's been hitting pretty good at Santa Anita as well.
Horse for the course, horse for the distance. It's 2 things I like as well. Terry, how about you?
I like the number 1 Cult Fiction. It's going for the 3rd win in a row, which is, of course, a hat trick. And he has the jockey Umberto Rizzola in the irons. He's been really hot the last 7 days. He's 11 mounts. He's won 5 and ran second twice. Then I like number 2 Whooping Jay. He's finished 1st or 2nd in his last 6 races. During his career, he's finished in the money 91% of the time, winning 36% of those entries. Then I like number 5 Brickyard Ride. Has won 7 out of 15 career starts. During his he takes the distance in the money 85% of the time, and 57% of the time he wins. He likes Santa Anita, and he's ran there 8 times, winning 5 of those starts. Then I like number 3, Fashionably Fast. Has finished 100% of the time the money this year and has been working well for this start. He will be closing from deep and try to nip them at the wire. He had a 5 furlong workout of 59-1 on May 30th, which was the first out of 44 other runners. And I think the way it'll go is Whooping Jay and Fashionably Fast and Brickyard Ride will all go to the lead, but I think Cult Fiction will close at the end to win the race.
All right. And Mr. Tom?
Well, I'm taking Brickyard Ride. I tossed out the last race. It was just too awful to believe for this speed horse. And I think there's 2 moves that are being made that are key. One is they're changing jockey because they're obviously were not happy with that ride last time out. And the other is that he worked 58 flat. And I went back and looked at his works, and that's the fastest he's worked in a long time. So they're looking to get that horse out of the gate and in front and nurse the lead and win. And I think the effort will be much better today. I also looking at the speed bias that's at Santa Anita right now, and in the races run at 6 furlongs, the speed bias is 80%. So I'm really going to have to think about playing any closers for first. It's not playing that way at Santa Anita right now, and it really would be tough at a 6 furlong race for me. Mm-hmm. I did pick Fashionably Fast to finish second in here. The number I went after was Dean Peterson's great record with non-graded stakes. He's winning 50% of them, and he's in the money 80% of them. Those are pretty good numbers. And,
not bad.
A decent price. You're not going to get a great price on this horse, but you want somebody to finish in the money. That's a good bet. I picked Colt Fiction. Fiction is my sort of my outsider. Had issues last time out, even though it won. It wouldn't be surprised me to win again. It's just it's one of those. Maybe it's starting to figure what it should be doing out on that racetrack. And in the past, it's been little back and forth.
Well, I agree with you, Tom. Looking at this speed bias, it's just almost like a fantasy football or basketball draft, and you keep drafting my player right before it's my turn to pick, because I was going to mention the speed bias, and then boom, Tom, that's the second time you did that to me today, Tom. So I'm going to stop putting you right in front of me. But in addition to that 80% win rate, 40% or 42%, the 105 races were won wire to wire. So you're right. It's speed. Get to the front, and you're probably not going to give up the lead. So the 2 horses to me that I think are going to be on the front are the 1 horse and the 5 horse. The 1 horse, it has one of the 2 of the fastest early quarter fractions for the field in their last start. The same thing with number 5. He Brickyard Yard also has one of the fastest opening quarter fractions in the last race. But he also has the fastest opening fraction out of any of these horses for the last 10 races. So he runs that opening fraction again. He's going to be on the lead. If he's on the lead based upon this track bias, he may not give it up. So for me, I'm just going with the 1 and the 5. And then if they scratch, I'll go with the 3 and the 4 in that order. That's how we see race number 8. And then now this is the hardest leg of all always. It's when a couple different reasons. One, it's the last leg of the pick 4. And for some reason, and this is a question that Chris brought up to me one time before, he's like, how come we can never win the last race? And it just seems like the last race, whether you're alive in a pick 4 or not, it seems to be a difficult race to win. Why do you think that is, Jessica?
Well, I think of the way racing offices typically card. It's usually a maiden race or non-winners of 2 lifetime. And those are some tough conditions. They usually attract some bigger fields. And this is one of the bigger fields on Saturday's Santa Anita card. It's nice to see, 9 plus horses in a race at Santa Anita. So good for them. Not 4. Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather take a swing in a bigger field. This is an interesting race. Contagion, number 3, beaten favorite last time out. I'm going to use him on my ticket, but not in love with him here. This is a horse I kept my ticket pretty light on the front end because I knew I'd have to go a little bit deeper here, and I don't want to get beat by him. But I don't love him. He was the beaten favorite against Similar. He got beat by Colossi, number 2, who we see again, who's just been the model of consistency, and I think he'll continue to show up. But I actually like a couple of horses on the outside. Number 8, California Street. Blinkers on with an older horse is sort of interesting. He's like a 7-year-old veteran. He isn't a green horse. He isn't inexperienced. So I think sometimes and his form's been pretty lackluster. So I think sometimes this can be a last-ditch effort by a horseman to try to wake a horse up. And maybe it does. He obviously had some ability at some point in his life. And maybe the blinkers do kind of refocus him a little bit. I also like right to his outside Kono for Michael McCarthy. Just a big front-running threat. And like you have the points you guys have been making about the speed bias, I think the track should play to his advantage. Mm-hmm. So there you have it.
All right. So that completes Jessica's tickets. Again, we'll have everybody's picks live on the site tomorrow when everything goes up. I can get edited to YouTube and make it look better than it probably looked at the beginning today. But I think we tried to tighten it up a little bit today. All right, Tom, who do you like?
I went with Great Magician. Back class, he was claimed. He's run average races, but he's dropping a little bit. They're putting an apprentice jockey up to get that 7 pounds. They added blinkers for the first time. They're doing all kinds of things to see what magic they can make this horse go, and I think it's going to work. I think he's good enough. It's just a matter of can he run his race, so to speak, and that seems to have been the case in the past. I took Platinum Equality as my second choice. He lugged out of the gate last time out. Okay. And whenever I see that, I go, okay, what does a trainer do to fix that problem? Well, I very smartly, he put him in the starting gate as a 3 furlong work, and he went 35 flat. That means they're very serious about having a good start. And I think that may do the trick. And the other thing that keyed me on this horse was at this distance, he has 17 starts and 7 wins. So it's not a question of the distance. It's a question of whether he can get out of the gate, and he better do it better. He'll do a better job today, I think. And I took House Limits. He was also claimed back a couple races back. I really think a shorter distance is going to help this horse, and I really do. I see him on the front end, and I think with that, I think he's got a great chance of being right there.
And a little bit of a drop in terms of what he's running for purse-wise relative to the race before that. How about you, Mr. Terry? Where are you going to take us in race number 9 to finish your pick 4 bet?
Well, I know this race to me is one of the wide open races, so that makes it really weird that I went 4, 4, 4, and 3 on my pick 4.
I thought you were going to tell us you're going to go all here.
But that's what I was going to say. In real time, I'm going to go all because these are the type races that you get a long shot in there a lot of times, and that's how I get. A lot of times I get a pretty nice pick 4. But for this purposes, I'm going to take number 3, Contagion. He's having a good year this year, finishing 80% of the time in the money and winning 40% of those starts. Peter Miller trains and jockey Flavely Pratt rides with a good trainer-jockey combination. And then I like number 6, Gray Magician, just like Tom. I think he's like a sentimental favorite for me. I've won on that horse a couple of times at pretty nice odds. He's dropping in class, has the fastest dirt speed among today's starters. In addition to that, he has the highest speed figure at today's distance. And then I like number 2, Colossi. Won this race last race at Santa Anita at today's distance. And Mark Glatt has been hot in the last 14 days. 16 starts. He's won 6, 2 seconds, and 3/3. And then if any of my horses get scratched in any of the legs, then I'd like the number 9, Kano, to be thrown in. He returns to a mile, which is the distance he has done the best at. And he has a hot trainer-jockey combo also of Michael McCarthy and Juan Hernandez. And with the following record in the last 14 days or so, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. I think the way the race will go is several horses will go to the front and try to lead to the finish line. Number 2, Colossi, will stay close to the leaders and then let them set a quick pace, and we'll be coming down the stretch to try to nip them. Number 3, Contagion, and number 6, Gray Magician, will close from deep with number 3, Contagion winning, and number 6, Magician, getting into the exotics.
All right. Sean, do you agree with that, or do you have something else?
Well, I agree with a lot of that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of speed in this race again. There could be 4 or 5 horses going for the lead. So I went with number 2, Colossi. He'll be one of them, sitting right behind those leaders. Love Santa Anita, winning 3 of 5 with a second. Just beat the 3 the last race. And like Terry said, Mark Glatt's been on fire. I did use the 3, was a short favorite last time, got beat by the 2, so it's a little bit of a concern. But he's another one that runs good at Santa Anita and should be in a good spot. And then the 1 speed horse I did use was the number 9, Cano. 1 speed horse that he might go all the way. I like Santa Anita in the exacta 2 of the 3 starts. And again, I believe it's Juan Hernandez. So I like that angle, Juan Hernandez on the front end.
Well, I agree with everybody. This is going to be a deep race. You got to go deep. I want to make sure that I can't make sure, but without hitting the all button. But if I make it to the 4th leg, that I have a good shot. So I'm going to go with a 40% chance just based upon the number of horses in the field. For me, the 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to put them all in there for the same reason. They're the only 3 horses in the race that last time out ran a time and a speed figure that's faster than the par for this level. So if any one of those horses runs the same way they ran last time out in this race, they all have a shot to win. So I wouldn't even be surprised if the trifecta is some group of 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm in a complete agreement with everybody who's on the number 9 horse, Kanono, whatever his name is. That's a horse I think does have a shot to get to the lead. Dropping in class, really strong, as you mentioned, Sean, jockey and trainer combination. So if speed holds up, the 9 horse indeed might have a shot to win this race. So those are our pick 4 tickets. Again, we'll get them up on the website. And Jessica, before you go, you do a lot of stuff. Well, we did some stuff on the track making our picks, but you also do a lot of, I would say, great work off the track. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you work on off the track, and if people want to help out, how they might be able to help.
Well, thank you. So for me, everything good in my life has come from horses and racehorses in particular. So there's never enough I can give back. I currently work as the director of communications for the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which provides sanctuary to horses that are not able to go on and have what you think of as traditional second careers off the track. So you can visit and learn more about the TRF at trfinc.org. They also have a wonderful Second Chances program, which allows incarcerated individuals to learn rehabilitative skills working with the retired racehorses, which is wonderful. I mean, it helps horses, it helps people. I'm also competing this weekend in the Real Rider Cup down in Fair Hill in Maryland, which raises money for Thoroughbred Aftercare. I will be riding a retired racehorse I don't know over a course of jumps. And if you want to donate, you can go to therealridercup.com or follow me on Twitter at @JMPaquette, because it's kind of all Real Rider Cup all the time right now. I also have 2 off-the-track thoroughbreds of my own. One was a great show horse. The other one is a really good-looking pasture ornament, and I'm very happy to have both of them.
You say one of them is just very friendly too.
Yeah, I mean, one of them's very, the useless one is very friendly, and my good show horse, he's not for everybody. He has a lot of opinions.
And you've had some personal success with some of these off the track horses, right? You see in the background, she has some ribbons and stuff there, and it's not for her pick 4 betting. What's that?
No, definitely not. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. I've gotten to ride some lovely horses, and they overcome how truly adequate at best I am as a rider.
I'm sure you're better than that. Otherwise, those things wouldn't be back there. And hopefully we're all better than that. And we can earn a medal or a ribbon, or more importantly, a winning ticket come Saturday with our pick 4. That's it for tonight's show, folks. Make sure, oh, Sean, before we go, where can people follow us if they want to follow us?
The Players Edge podcast on Facebook and Twitter, and as well as Instagram.
Fantastic. That's it for tonight, folks. Good luck with your picks. Good luck at the races, and we'll see you next week.